Hey everybody, it is Carla here with Carla's Clever Crafts. Today I am surprisingly doing another flamingo wreath. I went absolutely crazy with buying flamingo signs and ribbons. We're going to use this cute one that says Welcome to Paradise, and it has tropical leaves, greenery, and some pink flowers. And then there's some like orange around the lettering, and then up here is kind of like a peachy orange color in the welcome. So that's the sign that we're going to be using. We'll lay that to the side. We're going to be working on a 14-inch wire frame. I have it wired with 6 pipe cleaners on the inside 2 rings and 12 on the outside 2 rings. So if anybody's unsure how to do this, you can screenshot it, and then you can reference back to that with how to wire it. I also have a video that goes through different ways that I wire my frames depending on the method that I'm using. So if anybody wants that, let me know and I can link it for you in the comments. Okay, we're going to use a light pink and kind of like a lime green mesh today. This is a value mesh, the pink, and the green is a poly mesh that's a little bit heavier, a little bit more substantial. And I got both of these at Craft Outlet. And then our ribbons that come with the sign, if you order the kit from my shop, it includes this really cute pink flamingo. I love this ribbon with the tropical leaves. This is my first year finding this, and I'm just absolutely in love with it. Hi, honey. And then this is going to be my first time using, I see lots of crafters love the embossed ribbon. So I did finally break down and buy a roll of it. I was unsure because it seemed like such a good value. Like the price for 50 yards, I think was maybe $9. So I ordered some of that. And then we have this tropical leaf. This incorporates all the colors from our sign. It has the tropical leaves, and then it has pink leaves as well as orange. And then we're going to use this lime green. And I've used this color combination with a different sign, and it is very popular. I think I'm sold out of that one actually. So I thought I would try this combination again, but with a different sign this time. Okay. And I haven't decided if I'm going to put my sign in the center or make a bow. So we'll see. We'll see when we get to that point. Okay, so we're going to start off. We're going to do the crumple method on this one because that's what I did on my other design that everybody liked so much. So I really kind of just wanted to stick with that. My grandkids were here and they just left. So if I seem a little rattled, that might be why. I'm getting old, so it's hard for me to deal with kids. And I believe I just seen a bunch more of them come up on the porch. So Papa ran out to shush them. So we might have another group coming in. Okay, so I just rolled the end. I folded it over 4 times. I'm going to trim away the little pieces of fray as I go. Fold it over. I use my pinkies to hold these ends down so I get those tucked under nice. Just fold it 4 times. And then I'm going to turn it face down for this design. I do face down for most of my designs. I do have a tutorial with them face up if anybody wanted to see what that looked like. Okay, and we're going to work in order that the pipe cleaners are laid on the frame today. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this one starting on the outside here, and then I'm going to pull these that I have pushed to the inside out because we're going to go in order with the way they're laying. The other design that I did that everybody that was really popular and sold out used a 8-inch round sign. So I'm not 100% sure how this design is going to look with this bigger sign, but we're going to do it and find out. Good afternoon, Twana. How are you? Hope you're having a good weekend, everybody. Okay, so we're going to rotate the 2 colors. We're going to do the pink and green, and we're going to do it all the way around. Then I wanted to do a couple crumples to show you guys how I do that. And then I have the rest of them pre-made to kind of make it go a little faster for us. So I'm going to start pulling them out of my crumple holder here. This one came undone, so I'm going to fix it. There we go. So that's what the pink crumple looks like. Oh, I meant to show you the green. They just kind of look like little bows after you crunch them together. And I'm putting these on really tight because this forms the base of our wreath. That's going to kind of hold everything else, all the ribbons and our sign and whatever we decide to add, bow, if I decide to do that. I'm not sure yet. The other design did not have a bow, but like I said, it was a much smaller sign than we're using today. So I'm not sure. Okay. I've got to be very careful not to miss. Sometimes I miss pipe cleaners as I'm going around. So I'm trying to pay careful attention to make sure I pull them all out and get a piece of crumple in each one of them. You need 9 of each color, and the mesh pieces are cut to 18 inches long. So 9 pink, 9 green, if you choose this color scheme. Some of these crumples are coming undone. And then sometimes after I put my crumples on, I have to kind of spread them out and adjust the way they're laying. And now we're up here to this green. And I'm putting the finished edge of my mesh on the inside of the frame and the outside of the frame for this design. For some reason, all of my pink ones seem to want to come undone. It's probably because it's a lighter weight mesh, so it doesn't hold as well until after you tie it down. And if you're wondering about all the different colors of pinks and greens, they don't have any meaning as far as the pipe cleaners go. I had my granddaughter to pick out my pipe cleaners for me while she was here, and she wanted to get all the different shades because she thought that was pretty. You're very welcome, Tawana. Okay. And I hope I'm saying your name right. If I'm not, please tell me. I'm not really good with pronunciation. The green mesh, because it is a little bit heavier and thicker, I have to pull a little bit tighter when I put that in the pipe cleaner. And then sometimes I push down in the center, like right where I twisted it, just to make sure it's good and snug against the frame. I posted on my Facebook business page. I created a new mesh method. If you've watched me very long, you know I'm very fond of the Cruffle, and I use the Cruffle 98% of the time, probably. Even though I do know how to do the other methods, it's my favorite. But I created one of my own. Like I don't know. I wanted something new and something different. So I created my own style of designing the mesh, I guess is how you would say it, and came up with a different, I don't know what to call it. I don't have a name for it. It kind of looks like a petal. It kind of has a little poof on it. I'm not really sure what to call it. But anyway, everybody on my page seems pretty excited about it. Everybody likes it and wants to know how I did it. So I'm going to do a tutorial sometime this week showing that new method. I'm kind of excited too. I want to see what everybody else, I see a lot of potential with it. And I'm kind of excited to see what all the other creators come up with using it. Okay, and as I'm putting in these last couple pieces of mesh, I want to make sure that everything lays in the same pattern. So I always just pull the first pieces up that I put in and then tuck the ones I'm laying in now underneath. Okay, so we've got two more, or no, I'm sorry, one more green to add. And when I put it in, I'll do the same thing to make sure everything's laying consistently. So you can see that when I put in the last piece, the green is laying on top of everything and not in the same pattern. So that's why once again, I'll just pull this pink up and tuck it behind and do the same thing on the bottom row so that everything is consistent. Okay, because our sign is so big today, I am going to cut, I'm not going to put ribbons in the inside pipe cleaners. I'm going to actually cut those 6 off and only place ribbon around the outside. And then we'll decide if we want to do a bow. My kits come with 9 yards, or I'm sorry, 3 yards of each ribbon. So it's a total of 12 yards because you get 4 different ribbons. So we're going to use 2 yards of each ribbon doing ribbon tails around the outside, which leaves us another yard of each if we want to do a bow. Hi, Shirley. That's okay. Thanks for joining. Right now, I'm just cutting off the 6 pipe cleaners that are on the inside 2 rings. I was explaining we're using a sign that's a rather big sign today, so I feel like they would be covered up or hidden on these inside ones anyway. And I haven't decided whether I'm going to do a bow yet, so I'm going to get these outside ribbon tails on and then probably make a decision. These 2 are outside. Just trying to be careful, make sure I don't cut the wrong one because I've done that before. Outside, outside. I don't know if you guys can see, I have 2 little daisies. They're starting to wilt now, but my granddaughter these for me and put them in my hair earlier. It's so cute. But they kept falling out because they're getting wilted. Okay, so now I have all 6 of the ones that were on the inside, and that leaves us with 12 pipe cleaners around the outside that I'm going to start putting the ribbon in. Okay, and we have the 2.5 inch Flamingo ribbon. All of my ribbons are cut to 12 inches and dovetailed on the end. So we're going to be using 6 of those. And then this is also 2.5 inches wide, and it's the tropical leaf pattern. And then we're going to use this pink embossed ribbon, which is 1.5 inches, and the light green, which is 1.5 inches. Okay, so I'm going to put the green behind the flamingo, and I'm going to pair the pink with the tropical leaves. I'm going to move some of this stuff so I don't knock it down as I'm moving the wreath around. Okay. So let me decide how I'm going to put the ribbons in. Okay, I think I'm going to do my small X technique. And when I say a small X, I lay it on the table in front of me crisscrossed like this. This is what I would call a big X, which I do sometimes on my designs. But with this one, with the size of our sign, I think I'm going to do the small X because I think I'm going to like the placement of the ribbons better that way. And then I just scrunch it in the middle and I V it back towards myself. And I try to line up these two ends as best as I can. And so that's what it looks like. I guess that kind of resembles a little bow too. And then I'm going to put the pink embossed on the green mesh here. I think it will change going around. Let's see. And I'm just twisting my pipe cleaner 3 or 4 times. I clip it off and I leave about 1/2 inch of pipe cleaner there to push down inside. And then I always squeeze it to tighten my ribbons. And then I'm just going to arch my ribbons and curl the ends under. Okay, so this is kind of what it looks like when I put it in. I have 2 of the tails are being out this way, and then 1 going this way and 1 going this way. So we're going to keep doing that. We're going to rotate the pattern. So we'll do flamingo and green next. Yep. Okay, so just small X on the table and then V it back towards yourself. You could also place your ribbons in one at a time if you wanted to and get the same effect. I just find it's quicker for me if I do them at the same time. Okay. And so here's what we have with 2 sets of ribbons in. I do it like that so that you can, this way we can see all of the ribbon tails. And we're not really hiding or covering any of them up. Okay, so now we'll do the embossed ribbon with the tropical leaves. This is my first time using this particular tropical leaf ribbon, so I'm kind of interested to see the outcome with it. Okay, now we need to do the flamingo again. I spend a lot of time adjusting my ribbon tails. It takes me longer, but I think it just makes your wreath look so much nicer when you take the time to arrange your ribbon tails. No, thank you, Shirley. A lot of times I change my mind right in the middle of a design. If I start putting it together and it doesn't look right, that's hard to do when you're live, though. So I try to be more organized when I'm live, um, and plan it out ahead of time so that if I change my mind, I'm not doing it while you guys are watching. Yesterday, when I was getting ready to go live, I changed the way I was going to do my mesh and the mesh that I was going to use 3 different times before I made a decision to go and got ready to go live. This is definitely my new, I did that wrong. We're doing a small X. This is definitely my new favorite Flamingo ribbon. We're back to the palm leaf, and we're about halfway around with the ribbons. Oh, thank you, Lily. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you guys so much supporting me. It can be a little, makes me a little anxious getting ready for the lives and doing the lives. And it always is helpful when you have people watching and commenting, and it's just encouraging. So I really appreciate it. Okay, now we need the flamingo. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but for these ribbon tails, we're using 6 pieces of each ribbon, and they are cut to 12 inches long. You could, of course, use longer pieces if you want, or shorter. I think you could probably go as low as 10 inch on this design. I just, I've tried varying lengths, and I just really like the 12 inch, so that's what I stick with most of the time. It's personal preference, though. Just make sure when you are attaching your ribbons that you are securing them by squeezing that pipe cleaner in the middle. Because you don't want to hang up your beautiful wreath, or if you're selling to a customer, sell it to a customer and then have your ribbons fall off. That would be bad. Okay, looks like we've got 3 more ribbon bundles. Another thing that I have done to be careful of is when you're snipping off those pipe cleaners, making sure you don't cut your mesh, because that's just creates some extra work for you, because then you end up having to replace that piece of mesh. Okay, this is our last one of the tropical leaves. And these tropical leaves, this ribbon is not one directional, so placement of it doesn't matter no matter what type of design you're doing. The flamingo ribbon, however, is one directional. I'll show you that in just a second. In this design, though, just so everybody's aware, I'm not paying attention to trying to make sure they're going the same way, because it would be impossible with the way that I want my ribbons to fan out from my sign, just by the nature of how I'm folding them. One directional just means that all the flamingos are standing the same way on the ribbon pattern. They're not going in, like some of them upside down, right side up, or sideways. But because of the way that I am being them back, you're just naturally going to have one side where they're upright and one side where they're upside down. So if that's something that you're very particular about, then this might not be the design that you want to do. I think that wreaths are supposed to be whimsical and fun, and that my overall design and how my finished product looks, oh, thank you, Linda, is more important to me than making sure that all my flamingos are going the same way. But that's not everybody. Again, that's personal preference. Now, some ribbons and some designs, I do pay attention to that. For example, I've mentioned in the past, if my ribbon has words on it, I may be more likely to make sure they're going all in the same direction, so that when the wreath is hanging, they can read the words. I'm going to pull these ribbon tails out over the last ones I put in, so that our layering is the same again. And so this is what it looks like with all of our ribbon tails kind of bead out from the inside. We've got lots of curls and cruffles here, and that's where our sign is going to go. So let's now figure out if we're going to do a bow, or if we're just going to put the sign in the middle. I kind of thought when I was planning this ahead of time. Okay, so this is what it looks like if I just put the sign. The sign from top to bottom covers all the mesh in the middle, but then we've got like this mesh sticking out here on either side. And I'm not a fan of that look. So I think what I'm going to do is lay this off at an angle, kind of like that. And then I'm going to put a bow over here on the side where you see all of that extra mesh. So I think we are going to do a bow today. I'm using an M's Bow and Go bow maker. It works if you have the easy bow maker. It works almost identical to that one. And then I'm going to make my bow using the rest of the ribbon from the kit that I used to design this. So let me decide. I think I'm going to put the tropical leaves on the bottom. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to go ahead, because these pieces are already cut, I'm going to go ahead and dovetail both ends by just lining them up, folding them in half, trying to keep my edges, all of my edges, as close to lined up as possible. I'm just going to cut from the folded side up towards the wired side, which will give us a nice finished tail on each end. I'm going to do a 6-inch tail. And I just crunch my ribbon together, making sure that these outside edges with the wire are facing down on both sides. Then I'm going to twist it and put it in my bow maker. And when I do that, I come over here to the side that's upside down and do the same thing, but make sure the wired edges are facing up. That helps your loops form. And I'm just going to pull this tail downward. Do a 5-inch loop. Twist in the middle again, doing the same thing with my wired edges. On this side, I want them facing down. And on the side that's upside down, I want them facing up. And another 5-inch loop. And then I'm going to pull this tail to the top. So I'm going to have one going down and one going up. And then I'm going to use my little hole punch here just to hold that in place. And I think I'll do the green next. Again, what order you do your ribbons in is personal preference. Some people do their wider ribbons on the bottom, and their more narrow ribbons on the top. I tend to just mix it up based on what I think the color pattern, how it will look best. Okay, so this time I'm going to come from the opposite direction because we have one tail going this way. I want this tail to go the opposite way. So I'm going to do a 6-inch tail again. Pinch it together, doing the same thing with those wired edges, trying to keep them facing down. And then I'm going to twist it with the wired edges on the upside down part facing up. Put it down in my bow maker. I'm going to pull this tail down. And then I'm going to come in about a 1/2 inch from the first loop that I did and twist in the middle. Every time we twist, we're doing the same thing. On the loop side, we're trying to keep the wired edges facing down. On the upside down edge, we're trying to keep them facing up. And then do another loop about a 1/2 inch smaller than the first one. And then I'm just going to push this tail up. Now this is longer because we went smaller on the loop. So in the end, we'll probably end up doing some trimming to even those up, but that's okay. Okay, and then I'm going to do my flamingo. And just dovetailing the same way I did the others. I'm going to change my mind. This is what I was talking about when I said I change my mind as I go. I'm going to take this green out. I'm going to put a little clip on it, and maybe that'll hold it so I can just slide it back in. But I'm going to do the pink next. I want to break up the green the way I had it. I felt like I had too much green on the bottom, and then all my pink was going to be up towards the top because this pink flamingo, it has a lot of pink in it. And then this has a lot of green in it. So I want to break that up a little bit. So I'm going to actually do the embossed ribbon next. And sometimes you just have to see it together to know how you want to do it, which is what happened to me just now. So again, I'm going to do this tail facing the opposite way of the tail that we have. And again, I'm going to do 6 inches. And then twist, doing the same thing with our wires. And I'm going to pull this tail downward. Coming in a 1/2 inch, just like I did with the green, except now we're using the pink. Twisting in the middle. And then we don't twist on the last loop that we do. We're just going to go straight down here with it with the wires facing down and pull the tail up. And yeah, I think I'm going to like this better. Okay, so now we'll do the flamingo. And because this 2.5 inch tail is coming this way, and this is our other 2.5 inch ribbon, I'm going to go ahead and do it coming off the opposite. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, I got my 2 wired edges going down. I'm going to twist it, making sure that the 2 wired edges on the upside down part are facing up. And I'm going to make this one the same length as the pink embossed loop underneath of it. And then again, when we do our last loop, we don't twist, we just push it straight down in. I try to keep those wired edges going down. Sometimes that can be very challenging to keep those going the same direction, but it does help your loops stand up when you poof them better. Okay. And because I changed all my directions and everything, I'm just going to redo this real quick, because now I need this green to actually start on this side, because I have the pink and the flamingo on this side and I only have the tropical leaf on this side. So I'm going to bring this one down with the tropical leaf. Again, doing a 6 inch tail. And twisting. Pull my tail down. And I will adjust all these tails and loops after I take it off of the bow maker, and then again when I put it on the wreath. And I'm going to come in a 1/2 inch with this one from the flamingo that we just did. So we're kind of coming in with each one, except for I did do the pink and the flamingo the same length. And the smaller ribbon is really harder to get those loops, those wires to go the way you want them to go. Okay, come in a 1/2 inch again. Push it straight down with the wires facing down. And push this tail up towards the top. And then I'm going to use a pipe cleaner. I'm just going to feed that down through between the 2 bars and wrap it around the ribbon here in the middle. I use my thumb to hold this side down, and I use my opposite thumb to hold this side down. And then I take my 4 fingers on each side underneath all of the loops. My goal is to try to lift all of this out without letting the stack slide, so that it stays the way I placed it. And then I'm going to just even my pipe cleaner up here in the back. And then I'm going to twist the pipe cleaner. And then I like to pull my loops forward and twist the pipe cleaner in towards the loops so that it tightens it. The tighter that you can get that, the more your loops will pop out. A zip tie is also really good to do this with. Oh no, I broke my pipe cleaner. What are the chances that I can get this to go around this without redoing this whole bow? I'm going to go with slim to none. But I'm going to try. And here comes the lesson on what to do if your pipe cleaner breaks. Yeah, that's true, Shirley. And I tell you, I have practiced a lot with bows, and I do mean a lot, to get to where I feel comfortable doing them and even being able to show other people how to do them. And as you can see, it still never goes perfect because I just snapped my pipe cleaner right in half. That's twice that's happened to me on live now. Okay, well, let's see if I got this in there right and if everything's still going to go right or if I'm going to have to redo my whole bow. I think I did get it fed down through there to hold everything, so that's good. So let's go ahead and pull our tails down. I always like to pull really hard because I want to make everything lay where I want it to be. And then these really long ones are at the top of our bow. We're going to cut those off, but I'm going to do it after I put it on our design. And then I'm going to leave the very bottom loops, the tropical leaves, straight across. And then I'm going to take these, the pink embossed, which is our next layer. I'm going to pull one up on this side, and then I'm going to pull on the opposite side down. And then I want to make my flamingo go the opposite of the pink. That was why I made those loops the same size. Oh, no, I didn't get it all tied in, guys. My flamingo just came out. I wonder if I can rig this. We're going to try to rig this so I don't have to redo the whole bow on live. So I'm just going to take another pipe cleaner here, you guys. Fasten it around the flamingo ribbon that was not in the first one. Tighten it down. And snip this off because we won't need those. And then I'm just going to push this down in here to hide it and see if that works. Okay, so again, I'm pulling the flamingos opposite of the pink embossed on each side, leaving the tropical leaf in the middle. And then I'm just going to take the green and just spread it out in between all of the other ribbons so that all of the layers will show. So this is what I ended up with, and it'll look better on the wreath after I get it on there and trim those really long tails because that looks kind of wonky. And we'll see if my little trick works and holds that together, or if I'm going to have to redo the whole bow after we get done. Okay, so let's go ahead and attach our sign. I'm going to use my metal hole punch. This is an MDF sign, so it's not real thick. It's a little thick, but it's not real thick. So my metal hole punch will work on this. I got this from Amazon, and I like it because it makes the holes really small instead of really big holes that you can see.
Get some cat food for the cat.
Okay. And then I'm going to use 26 gauge wire to feed through the hole. And I always use really long pieces because it makes it easier for me to feed through the mesh and the ribbons. So I'm going to pull off one long piece. I want one at the top and one at the bottom. So I'm going to cut this in half to make two pieces. We're just going to feed it through our hole. I always turn my sign over for this part, and I'm just going to line up the ends of the wire, and then I'm going to twist my knot in the back of the sign over top of the hole. Just twist it a good 4 or 5 times. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other end. Try not to poke myself in the eye with the wire. speaking from experience. Okay. And again, remember, twist it in the back of your sign, over top of your hole. So that way your wires are coming out from the back of your sign and not off from the sides. Okay. Now I want this to lay at a slant a little bit, and then room for my bow here on the side. I think I'm gonna actually do it the opposite way and put my bow on the left. You could do it either way. Okay, so I'm gonna feed this wire through here. I think it was just yesterday I was saying I don't usually do bows with bigger signs, but I guess that wasn't completely accurate because with this design, I am going to totally do a bow with a bigger sign, but it's more narrow. So it really just depends on whether I feel like I need space filled in as opposed to the size of the sign, I guess. But if I use a 12-inch round sign, that pretty much fills the center. So a lot of times I don't do bows with those. But I thought this one was going to look funny with all that mesh just on the sides of the sign. This design ends up being about 24 inches wide, and it's about 4 inches deep. The bow might change that though. Once we bow on there, that might make it closer to like 5 or 6. Okay. So to attach my sign, I'm just feeding the wire down through all of the mesh and the ribbons to the frame. And then I'm wrapping the wires around 2 rings on the frame. And then I wrap the wire around itself a bunch of times. Okay, let's see if that's, I might have this over too far. No, I think that's going to be okay. Looks like it'll be right. We can always adjust it if we need to. Okay, so I'm twisting the wire around itself, and then I will cut the wire. If there's any excess, like extra, I cut it off. And then I always wrap the end of the wire around one of the rings on the frame and push the sharp edge up to the inside. Okay, all right, I'm going to put the bow on here, and then we're going to decide if I have the sign over too far. I may have to bring that in, so we'll see. And I also know that I said this was going to be the top of the bow, but I think I just changed my mind because we might actually leave some of the longer tails there. Let's see what it looks like first, though. So I'm going to go in. I don't know if I want to go in the middle or a little bit towards the top. I think I'm going to go a little bit towards the top. Trial and error. Let's hold it up here and see. Yeah, I kind of like that, and I kind of like those 3 long tails. I might have to do some trimming at the top. What do you guys think? I think I kind of like that. So I'm going to go ahead and tie my bow down. I'm putting it on the same way I do my sign. I'm taking the pipe cleaner and putting it around 2 rings on the frame, and then I'm just going to twist it around itself until I get to the end. And then I wrap it around one of the rings on the frame and push it up inside too. Thank you, Shirley. I make putting the sign on so easy. You have so much trouble with signs. Signs were a struggle for me in the beginning too. I have gotten a little bit better at it, but I still struggle sometimes, especially the thicker the mesh and the ribbons and stuff. And that's why I make my wire so long, because it does make it easier for me when I'm tying those signs on. When I first started out, I tried, because I didn't have much budget when I started out, so I was trying to make my wires and everything as short as I could. I was cutting my pipe cleaners in half to make them go further, and doing all these things to kind of like stretch my budget. But it does make, and it works. It stretches your budget and helps you get started, but it also makes everything much harder for you. So, so that's why now you'll see I don't cut my pipe cleaners in half. I leave them long, and then I cut the ends off. Same thing with my wire for my signs. I make a really long piece, and then whatever's just extra, I cut it off, because it's easier on my hands, my arms, and my brain. Thank you, Lily. All right, let's flip our bow and fix these tails a little bit. I'm just going to run these ribbon tails. If you run them through your fingers like this, it kind of gives them like a curl, which I think looks nice on bows. Okay, so do the same thing up here. I thought I was going to end up cutting a bunch of this off, but I don't know. I'm kind of liking it. And it looks like my trick of fixing it after I busted the whole thing apart might have worked pretty good. I could say that I did all that on purpose just to show you guys how to fix it if it happens to you, but that's definitely not true. Okay. All right, I've got all my loops fluffed up. They're showing nice. I think we're probably just about done. I like it. When I hang it on the door, the only thing I'm questioning is I may make an adjustment with the sign either down or over a little. I won't know that until I see it hanging up though. Okay, well, I appreciate you guys so much hanging out with me, and I hope you like the wreath and that you learned something. And I will be back tomorrow. I think I set a schedule. I have a permanent fixed schedule now. And if I remember correctly, I think Mondays and Thursdays are at 6. So tomorrow's will be at 6 o'clock. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good day.